Welcome to Slapshot Podcast, episode number 91. I'm your host, Christopher Morais. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Just walk right in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the before last podcast, before the NHL regular season kicks off, man. It's been a long time coming. My fantasy football pools are falling apart. Baseball playoffs are around the corner, but that's not important. Basketball, we don't care. It's all about the NHL. Training camps have kicked off. Preseason games, so far it hasn't been too terrible. No massive injuries, so we are definitely making some progress here. I'm just excited for regular season hockey to commence, where meaningful games will take place. So welcome in. If you are new here, thank you for being here. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. Okay. You can follow the podcast on X at Slapshot Podcast. You hit the link tree. You can follow the podcast in an audio form wherever you enjoy your podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, literally everywhere you enjoy podcasts. All right. We got lots of stuff to talk about today. We're going to go through some of the breaking news that you may have missed. Right? Don't worry. I got you covered. And then we're going to talk about some sleepers. Talk about sleepers specifically, though, sleepers in relation to players in their contract year, right? For whatever reason, I don't know why, but players seem to perform a lot better in contract years. Who would have thought? Players need a new contract, they want more money, so they wait till the end, like a good student, to do all the work they need to do, right? It's usually how it goes. So we're going to tackle 5 players that you need to keep an eye on for your fantasy hockey drafts coming up. Specifically, guys, I would say, they're not necessarily sleepers, right? The term gets thrown around so loosely, right? We're not talking about guys with pick 207 in the 19th round of your fantasy hockey league. We're talking about guys who are going to exceed their average draft position, right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for value. So we're going to take a dive into that. First, of course, like I said, we're going to get into the breaking news, things you may have missed. Don't worry, I'm here to remind you. Let's start off with some good news. Obviously, some great stuff. Marc-Andre Fleury played one final period with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He signed a PTO with them, played one period, and the whole lead up to it, everything surrounding it, the jokes that he was playing with Sid and Letang and his family being close by and everything, it just felt right to see Marc-Andre Fleury in a Penguins uniform. And I remember watching him play hockey and how great he was. And even at 40, there's one thing you can't take away from Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, maybe his body isn't able to keep up anymore because he's 40. But the man's love for hockey is like, I don't think anybody loves the game more than he does. Just going to the rink, having fun, putting decals of his number on Sidney Crosby's car. Just the whole thing. And it was fantastic. The Pittsburgh Penguins did everything they needed to do to make that moment special. So round of applause to that organization for getting it right. And it was just a great way to drive up the want for people to go to a preseason game. Listen, it's not always something people want to do, but again, massive W's to the Pittsburgh Penguins organization, Fleury, of course, and everybody else who was part of that. It was really nice to see them just be children, literally have fun. So that was great. Let's get to contract news. First, we're going to start with Anthony Stolarz. He signed a 4-year, $3.75 million per season extension with Toronto Maple Leafs. Joseph Woll is away for the team for personal reasons. They brought in James Reimer on a PTO. You can read into whatever you want from that. For me, I guess the part that strikes me, this is a very team-friendly deal for Stolarz. I thought he could have probably gotten a little bit more. I'm going to keep it a stack. He was very good with the Toronto Maple Leafs last year. And then, obviously, he got hurt in the playoffs. but I think maybe he's a late bloomer. Maybe it was because he was hiding behind Sergei Bobrovsky for a minute, and that's fair. Sergei is a fantastic goalie. But the Leafs have had a couple of W's here, which is getting John Tavares on a team-friendly deal, getting Anthony Stolarz at a good deal. He probably could have tested the market, got a lot more money. Maybe he's happy in Toronto. Good for him. You know, that's the needed there. Speaking of guys who signed deals here, Mason McTavish, unfortunately, well, I mean, fortunately for him in the Ducks, but unfortunately for Habs fan, he signed a 6-year, $7 million per season extension with the Ducks. He was skating in the OHL somewhere, but the Ducks finally put pen to paper. My understanding was the Ducks didn't want to give him as much money. He obviously wanted more. I guess they came together here. $7 million for Mason McTavish over 6 years. Maybe the team wanted as much term as they could humanly get. Because I think a lot of young players signing these deals now, with the salary cap moving the way it is, it's not about dollar figures, it's about cap percentage, right? And the good news for McTavish is, though, after 6 years, he's going to be at his prime. He'll be able to hit another big contract, right? Like, let's not spit on $42 million, okay? I know that's, most of us will never touch that. So he gets paid, another good center in the system for the Ducks. Let's see what happens to this team, how they come together, how they're going to bond and get better. I don't know. But I'm just sad that he will not be in a Montreal Canadiens uniform because Montreal could have used him as a 2C. They could have. It's not going to happen today. And listen, I'm sure Kent Hughes kicked tires there. Maybe the asking price was too high, and he's like, ain't no way we're not doing that today. So that's fine. But good for McTavish, good for the Ducks. It's good to see him with the team. He's expected to start the year. They can put that one behind us. Speaking of things that people might want to put behind them, Aleksander Barkov is expected to miss 7 to 9 months with a knee injury. He suffered a torn ACL at practice. And my initial reaction when I saw the clip is anytime a player goes down with a non-contact injury, you know it's bad. There's no two ways around it. And like before the contact is made at practice, you can see him kind of buckle. He has a hard time getting up. It's truly unfortunate for Barkov from multiple perspectives. One, the leader that he is for that team. Now, for fantasy perspectives, maybe he's not a guy going out there getting 100 points. But he plays the power play. He plays the penalty kill, zone entries. His defensive game is elite. There are so many intangibles with Barkov. As Paul Maurice said, you do not replace him. You can't. There's no one player that can step in. Even by committee, it's tough. And for a team already without Matthew Tkachuk, this one stings quite a bit. And maybe you chalk this up to the Florida Panthers having been to the Stanley Cup Finals now in 3 straight years, wear and tear on your body. It's possible because it looked like a harmless thing. But this is gut-wrenching. It also sucks for Barkov because this is an Olympic year, and now he's not going to be able to represent Team Finland. That is a huge loss for the Finns. The Finns have a good team in general. We saw them at the Four Nations, right? Remember, myself included, took a couple shots at them, didn't think maybe they could keep up. And obviously in typical Team Finland fashion, they reminded you that they are good. But again, another loss because of everything that he brings to the team. His leadership qualities and his play on the ice is fantastic. So I get it. Some people are not going to cry for the Florida Panthers. Maybe this opens up the division a little bit more because, again, we don't know if Barkov is going to be out. Well, we know he's done for the season. The regular season, we could chalk that up. Is he going to be able to come back for the playoffs? I don't know. I guess it depends how his knee heals. But This is not good for Florida's chances of three-peating. It's not great. It's tough. There's a lot of holes now in their lineup. Anytime you lose your captain and another best player, most teams will fold. The Panthers have a lot of good depth, so maybe they can crawl back here, but it's absolutely tough. We hope it's a speedy recovery and he can return as quickly as possible. We're going to finish again. A little bit of sourdough. This one has nothing to do with hockey, but you'll understand why it's here. Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari driver, he posted that his dog Roscoe, right? I think it's a English bulldog he has. Fortunately, he had to put him down. He passed away. He was in an induced coma because he was sick. And again, I know this has nothing to do with hockey. I'm a big F1 fan. I've been watching F1 since I was a little kid. That hasn't changed. I was a fan before Drive to Survive. Let's just put it that way. And, Lewis Hamilton is kind of almost Canadian in a certain sense. I mean, he did win his first F1 race ever in Montreal. He always has fond memories of it. And of course, if you've watched F1 long enough, you've seen Roscoe on the paddock at different times. Dog was a rock star. All dogs are good boys and good girls. And losing a dog would be tough. I mean, listen, do you see him in the corner right here? I have Milo, of course. He's burnt out from his day of chasing squirrels. But, I mean, dogs are part of your life for a short period of time, but you are part of your dog's life for their whole life. And losing an animal is tough. It would sting. And I love Milo, and we know that Lewis loved Roscoe and everything about him. And it looks like he lived his best life. Lewis was there with him until the end. So if you have a furry creature, whether it's a dog or a cat or any other animal, give them a big hug. You should probably give them a TREAT. I can't say the word because then he's going to get up. So love your animals, man. Animals are the best. Milo is clearly the CEO, CFO, COO of this podcast, of course. So I love him. And all the love to Lewis Hamilton. And, Roscoe goes, all dogs go to heaven, of course. So he's up there living his best life. He's not suffering. And there's nothing better than that, right? So that is the NHL news of the last week and a half, I guess. Again, if you've been sleeping under a rock, man, I mean, I'm here. I'm here to help you. All right. Here's where else I'm going to help you with. Like I said, fantasy hockey drafts are ramping up. If you haven't had yours already, I got a bunch coming up now in the next 5 to 6 days. Just an absolute bunch. Speaking of it, I'm going to self-plug my stuff. If you need a draft guide to help you a little bit, sortable rankings, maybe you need sleepers and busts, maybe you need some advice on rookies, if you head over to fantasyalarm.com/NHL, you can get yourself Fantasy Alarm Draft Guide. I put it together, of course. So you can head on over there, grab yourself a draft guide, use all the tools and projections that are there to help you dominate this year in fantasy hockey. Okay? fantasyalarm.com/NHL. That's where you go. Pick your Fantasy All-Pro subscription. If you care about other sports as well, if you care about fantasy, basketball, everything else. You play daily fantasy as well. Everything is up there. Great group of guys. But mainly if you need hockey, that's where you go. So, that being said, I'm going to give you the 5 sleepers that are just about contracts. Okay? That's it. So, I'm looking at players in a contract year that I would say if the deciding factor between this player and another player is coming up, I would take the player I'm going to mention because they're in a contract year. We have seen this throughout history. Players love money. Let's not get it twisted. And they know in a contract year, right? It's all about what have you done for me lately. So these players are going to perform. Let's not get it twisted, right? They're going to have good years. They want to go out and secure that bag, whether it's with their current team or their next team. They're going to go out there and put on a show. So wherever you have these players ranked, doesn't matter. I'd give them a little bit of a boost. Maybe I reach for them one round early. Maybe I keep them on the radar when it's come times to early choosing them. Now, just for reference here, some guys we're not going to talk about here, okay? I don't need to convince you why you should be taking Connor McDavid and Kirill Kaprizov early, Jack Eichel as well. Like, Connor McDavid is elite, whether he's at a contract year or not. The same thing with Kirill Kaprizov. Like, you don't need me to tell you to take those guys where they are. I think it's pretty understandable. These are guys, some of them closer to the top, some of them maybe down, a little bit down in the mid drafts. This is where you can fully exploit that value, okay? So, yes, you should be drafting Connor McDavid, Kirill Kaprizov, and Jack Eichel. Them being in a contract year doesn't really change very much. They're already very, very good at what they do, okay? So, don't be shocked when you see the first name and go, why isn't Connor McDavid there? Yeah, Connor McDavid has career years every time he steps onto the ice. He's also going to get massively paid, and it doesn't matter. So, without further ado, here's name number one. We have Martin Necas of the Colorado Avalanche. Remember the guy who came over for Mikko Rantanen? I have Marty Necas here. His contract's coming up, okay? He's last year of his 2-year, $13 million deal, so he was making $6.5 million. He's come over to Colorado, and there's no question about it. He's going to get an opportunity to play with arguably one of the best forwards in the game and probably the best defenseman in the game. I don't think that's a stretch, okay? When he came over last year to Colorado, he played 30 games with Colorado last year, 11 goals, 17 assists, 28 points. It's not massive, right? Here's where it gets massive, though. In that time when he was in Colorado, he averaged over 20 minutes of ice time. That is the most he's ever played. That's 2 minutes more than he was playing in Carolina. Now, Carolina's system is not built like Colorado. Colorado has a little bit more depth, but they still roll that top line heavy. Marty Necas is going to be on the power play. There's like these rumors and rumblings that maybe he doesn't want to sign in Colorado, and that is interesting because I don't know why I wouldn't want to play next to Connor McDavid. Next to me, Nathan McKinnon. That's the name I'm looking for. Thanks, Chris. I don't know why someone wouldn't want to play next to Nathan McKinnon and dominate. So Marty Necas could easily, without breaking a sweat, probably score over 30 goals, probably average a point per game, decent amount of shots, huge power play numbers. So his ADP, depending on the league size you're in, right? Sometimes he's going in the 4th round, maybe a little bit later. I think early in the 4th round is where you got to start looking. If you want to go, if you're closer to the end of the 3rd, depending on how your first 2 picks have gone, Marty Necas is a great piece because the upside is clearly there just because of the team that he plays on. Colorado is up and down. They skate. Necas can skate. And he's going to see a lot of ice time. So I'm in. I'm 200% in on Marty Necas. I would definitely draft him, not even looking back. Next name here on the list, Adrian Kempe. Welcome in. Adrian Kempe here now is finishing up his 4-year, $22 million deal. This is $5.5 million. Now, in terms of cap percentage, which is the most important thing, he's currently making 5.8% of the salary cap. Now, I don't need to tell you that Adrian Kempe is going to get a pay increase here. Now, it depends where you're looking at. Cap wages sometimes gives you an estimate. They believe that he's probably going to turn around the $8 to $9 million, which seems pretty accurate. Now, Anze Kopitar has already announced that he is going to retire at the end of this year. There's some money that's going to go up, that's coming up for grabs here. The LA Kings are a little bit strapped to the cap right now, but as are most teams. And again, salary cap's going up. Adrian Kempe is a young player. He had what? He had 73 points last year. A little bit of a dip, but this is a player who has scored 40 in the past. he can also throw his weight. So in fantasy leagues where guys collect hits, he obviously helps. He loves to shoot the puck. There's nobody on that team that shoots the puck like he does, right? There's just not. Kevin Fiala's not a shooter. Quentin Byfield isn't really a shooter just yet. So Adrian Kempe is going in that 4th to 5th round. And sometimes he's going to get slept on. If you're in leagues where goals count a little bit more, let's say, than just traditional assists, Adrian Kempe fits that bill. He is a guy that I want a piece of. Couple of reasons as well. In that Pacific Division where the Kings play, he gets to play the Anaheim Ducks a lot. He gets to play San Jose a lot. And let's not forget, those are 2 bottom feeder teams. Okay? The Edmonton Oilers are not great defensively. Yes, he's got to play Vegas. And then he's got Calgary. And, Vancouver. I almost disregarded them. Vancouver, who knows what they're going to be? They're probably not going to be better. Calgary has a good goalie, but outside of that, that's a back-heavy team. So the upside here for Adrian Kempe, at least in my books, is massive. It's there. I could see him in a contract year, 40 goal, like 40-40, or at least close to it. 40 goals, 40 assists, a ton of them on the power play. He still gets to play with Anze Kopitar, who is a great facilitator, okay? Don't get it wrong. Like, Kopitar can still play. He's still responsible in his own end. But once that money frees up, the Kings have some choices, and they could choose to spend it on Kempe. They don't really, I won't say they don't really need, but they don't have to go out and replace Kopitar directly. Like, Philip Deneau is there. Quentin Byfield can play center. So they're not necessarily strapped in this position where, yes, you're losing Kopitar, and yes, that's massive, but I don't think it's going to hurt as bad as, let's say, for some other teams. So I am definitely bullish on Adrian Kempe. You should be too for fantasy hockey. All right, understood? Let's go to the next one here. This one I like a lot. Philip Gustafsson of the Minnesota Wild. Now, you're looking at me and you're going, why are we talking about Philip Gustafsson? Well, Philip Gustafsson is in the last year of his 3-year, $11.25 million contract. That's $3.75 million per season. That's 3.9% of the current salary cap. So, now, you may not look at him. First off, he's 27. He's in his prime, okay? The Minnesota Wild have done him very little favors over the last few years. Now, he played a lot last season. The year before that, he split a little bit with Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, obviously, Fleury is not there anymore, okay? And despite all of Minnesota's injuries last year, right, to their best, one of their better defensemen, Kirill Kaprizov, Joel Eriksson Ek, they had a ton of players go down. He still won 31 games with a 2.56 goals against average and a .914 save percentage. His save percentage is close to his career, which is 9.13. So he is capable. I know these numbers don't scream elite. That's because the way we see the NHL now, like, more goals are being scored than, I guess, the first lockout kind of thing. That makes sense. Philip Gustafsson can get paid. He could easily double his money here in the offseason. If he goes to free agency, he's going to double his money. A goalie in his prime, that's good. And Minnesota's defense is not anything crazy here, okay? But yeah, they got Brock Faber, Jared Spurgeon, but these are not like standout elite defensemen, right? They're very good. I think Minnesota's system works for them. But a lot of this has to do with Philip Gustafsson and how he plays. And again, there are no shortage of NHL teams that need a goalie in their prime. Okay? So I think this is a good opportunity for him, for whatever happens, to get paid in Minnesota or to get paid somewhere else. And I think doubling his money is the easiest thing he can do. He's going to get paid, especially if he puts together a good season. And you don't look at Philip Gustafson off the rip in most fantasy drafts and go, yep, that's the guy I want. There are some things that maybe won't draw you to him. One, the division that he's in, okay? He has got, right, the Minnesota Wild are in the same division as the Dallas Stars, the Colorado Avalanche, the Winnipeg Jets, okay? You could throw the St. Louis Blues in there as being a good hockey team as well if you want, okay? Nashville and Chicago, stop. I understand it's going to be tough for him some games. And it's going to be tough for the Wild in general. But he is a good goalie. I think he is slept on because it's Minnesota. And because there are other players there that take up the limelight from him, right? Kaprizov, Boldy, Joel Eriksson Ek, Marco Rossi. There are Brock Faber, Zev Buyam. There are lots of players there that are starting to, to command some attention, as they should. But Philip Gustafson is the backbone of that team. And if you have a fantasy draft and you miss out on some of those top-end goalies, right? The Igor Shesterkins of the world, the Connor Hellebucks, the Jake Ottingers. Now you can start to get in that middle section. Andre Vasilevsky, I'll throw him in there as well. You get into that middle section now where you're starting to look at different names that you're like there's nothing wrong with Ilya Sorokin. I just don't like his team, right? You can take a chance on Mackenzie Blackwood depending if he stays healthy, right? Do I want to go the UC Saros route? Probably not. Darcy Kemper, I want nothing to do with. Linus Allmark doesn't inspire any confidence. All those goalies are kind of within the same realm of Philip Gustafson and where he's being drafted. You can get him in the 6th round. If you missed out on those early goalies, let's say you took a combination of forward, defenseman, or 3 forwards, 1 defenseman, your first 4 picks, Philip Gustafson starts your 5th round. That's the guy you should be targeting. That's the guy you want. You don't have to reach for a top-end goalie. Go get something else. Go get one of those high-end players. Take Philip Gustafson, okay? Unless you're in a draft with me, if you take Philip Gustafson, we're going to have to throw hands, okay? So don't do that. But if you're not in a draft with me, you take Philip Gustafson, all right? Number 4. This one I like a lot too, Artemi Panarin, okay? Now, Artemi Panarin is going early enough, but I think this is going to be interesting for him specifically this year. One, Artemi Panarin is 33 now. He's on the other side of 30, okay? And he signed Jeff Gordon, signed him to a 7-year, $81.5 million when he came to New York. So that's let's round off, $11.6 million. That's 12.2% of the current cap. Do I think the Rangers are going to give him that much money twice? I don't think so. I don't know if they will. He may want to get paid again, right? And maybe it's not in New York. Now, whether you agree that he should or not, he can go a long way into deciding that, right? I think there's a team that's going to give him money, okay? And in 2023, 2024, he had 120 points, okay? Last year, he came back to earth. He had 89, which is still pretty good, okay? Let's not get it twisted. A lot of his numbers came down, but the Rangers themselves as a team were terrible, right? Like they sucked the minute Christmas showed up. Actually, before Christmas, they were terrible. Since joining the Rangers, he has been hitting the 90-point plateau consistently. Maybe he slows down. We saw him shoot the puck a ton. Maybe having JT Miller in the lineup, moving Mika Zibanejad to the wing. There's a whole bunch of things that can open up for him. I've never seen him as a goal scorer, yet he scored 49 in 2023-24, 37 last year. That's pretty good for him, right? Do I think he's a 120-point player? Probably not. Do I think he could finish with 90-plus some odd points? Yeah, I can. And you know what the going rate for a 95-plus point player is? Close to $10 million, $10 or $11 million. Maybe it's not 7 years, right? We'll see. Maybe the Rangers don't want to invest that amount of money in him. Don't forget, they locked up Igor Shesterkin to a ton of money, and the Rangers have other things that they need. So whether Artemi Panarin gets paid in New York or somewhere else, like, I just want to start something. But like, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to have a lot of cap space, and they just lost a guy named Mitch Marner and replaced him with absolutely nothing. So once they have a mediocre season this year, they're like, hey, we should probably replace a 100-point player. Maybe they convince Artemi Panarin it's a good idea to come and take $11 million in Toronto. I don't think so. But somebody's going to line up for his services. Somebody is. I don't necessarily think he's taking a discount. I don't. I think he'll take the same money. I think he'll take it somewhere else too. But in terms of fantasy production, a player in a contract year, I can guarantee you he's going to do everything he can to ignite this season to make sure that his agent can get the most amount of money from him. All right? Make sense? So, you have a chance to draft Artemi Panarin? I know. He's somewhere in between 120 points and 89, which is, again, still pretty good. That's a guy who's probably coming around in the second round on the turn. You missed out on guys like Jack Eichel, Willie Nylander, I consider in that bracket as well. Artemi Panarin is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be afraid. All right? And next, final name here on the list, Stuart Skinner. Now, I bounced this one around a lot, okay? Because Stuart Skinner is 26, by the way. Goalies are traditionally late bloomers. I think we can understand that. Playing goal in the NHL is exceptionally hard. He is currently making, he signed a 3-year, $7.8 million deal. He's making $2.6 million, okay? Now, has his marriage with the Oilers been a roller coaster? Yes. Like, in 2 separate Stanley Cup runs, he's lost his starting job. His numbers have been all over the place. When he's good, he's good. When he's ass, he is ass. But remember we talked about Philip Gustafsson, right? I think if the Oilers decide they don't want to pay Stuart Skinner, he can get paid on the open market somewhere else, and he can go to a better structured defensive team. Like, he doesn't have to play with Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard in front of him. Evan Bouchard is great offensively, but let's not pretend he's an elite defenseman by any means. Okay? I'm not putting him on the ice late trying to defend a lead because Evan Bouchard is his quality is not defending the lead. And Darnell Nurse is just terrible. That contract's not going anywhere. Okay? Now, they obviously have to pull out the stops, the Oilers, to make sure that McDavid signs. Okay? I believe that Stuart Skinner's going to go somewhere else. Is he going to be better somewhere else? I would like to believe so. He's going to get paid. And he knows he's got to put a season together in order to earn it. Because this is what he did last season. He played 51 games, which is not great. 281 goals against average, 896 save percentage. That was his worst save percentage in the NHL. He played one game in 2020, 2021, so we're just going to erase that one completely. But his save percentage now since 2022, 2023 goes 914, 905, 896. An 896 save percentage in the NHL is not good enough. It doesn't cut it. A 905 save percentage doesn't cut it. But hey, his playoff numbers were even worse. 2.99 goals against average, 889 save percentage. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Now, you can cure all that, Stuart, with a good year. You know what I mean? Nobody cares about what you did the year before. They care about what do you do now. And I still think he's growing into it. Edmonton made no attempt to go out and find a decent backup. They're just going to give Calvin Pickard another opportunity to sit there. Is Calvin Pickard the long-term solution for this team? No. Stuart Skinner may not be it, but maybe he just needs to be somewhere else. So I think there's value here. Stuart Skinner is going extremely late in drafts. And I think the notion before was people were like, hey, we'll take Stuart Skinner because he's on a team that's going to win. And fine, that's possible. But then you become modern day Martin Jones, which is you rack up a lot of wins, but all your outside metrics and numbers are not good. Now, if you want a more recent reminder of that, it's Aleksander Georgiev. Remember when he led the league in wins as a goalie for Colorado? Yeah, guess where he is now? Exactly. You didn't know. Buffalo is where he's at, by the way. So there is the old school mentality of just taking a goalie early because he's on a team that wins. It's not a good way to draft a goalie for fantasy league. I think there's an opportunity here for Stuart Skinner to be good. He's got to put consistent numbers together. Okay? If he's flirting with a 2.5 goals against average and a .915 save percentage, both of those well above his career averages, I think he's probably going to get $7 million. And again, there are no shortage of teams that are going to need goalies. Okay? They all need them. I'm just saying, if I'm going to take an upside, you could probably get Stuart Skinner as your second goalie in fantasy hockey. And depending on how shallow your league is, probably your third option. The upside is there. This could explode in your face, by the way. I'm very aware of how this goes. Okay? You're putting a 12-gauge shotgun to your face, and you're hoping it doesn't go off with Stuart Skinner. That's basically what you're hoping for here. But again, he's 26, man. He's just getting started. This is going to be his fourth full-time season in the NHL. Okay? He's been on an Oilers team that traditionally has not been very good defensively. So I'm willing to take the upside on him. I'm willing to take the risk. There are other goalies that are just bad. I'm not convinced that he is the main problem with the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think they do enough for him. I don't think they defend well enough. I think the way they defend is by possessing the puck in the offensive zone as long as possible. Then they get into their defensive zone, and that's where things start to fall apart pretty quickly. So, I'm banking on the upside here. I don't know how else to tell you this. I think there's enough upside here. I'm willing to go for it. Contract year, Stuart Skinner wants to get his bag. Maybe he turns out to be Jack Campbell. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not worried about his contract for next year because he may not be on my fantasy team next year. But if he's on yours this year, I can make an argument for him having a good year just because it's a contract year. Because if he doesn't have a good year, he's not getting re-signed. And I don't think many teams are lining up. Maybe they are. Maybe he still gets a pay raise. But I think he can cash in here for a little bit. I think he can go and cash in a good contract. And if he plays well in Edmonton, then maybe they give him the bag as well. Those are the 5 players. Thank you. Thank you. Those are the 5 players. All right. Now you know. Like I said, fantasy hockey season is here. Fantasy drafts are happening. I already had one over at Total Hockey Now, which you should go watch on youtube.com/Total Hockey Now. Go ahead. We did a ton of mock drafts. You should be doing them. If you need some help, go to Total Hockey Now. Watch the 11 mock drafts that we've done. You can watch the draft that I did as well with them. We already did it for our league there. You can do so. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the podcast for episode 91. I appreciate all of you, again, being here, hanging out. All right. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/@slapshotpod. Go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. You can go over on X @slapshotpodcast. You hit the link tree. Subscribe to the podcast in an audio form wherever you enjoy it. You can follow me on X as well, @FuzzyChris91. We're just getting started, man. I'm just gaslighting fan bases right now. We're getting there. We're going to get it. Podcast's going to be a whole bunch of fun. We're going to tee up the opening night next Monday. All right. Just lock in. We got a lot of stuff going on here. You don't want to miss it. All right. As always, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out. We'll see each other soon.